Hello,
Good
Reynaldo Castellanos, condo and HOA attorney, real estate attorney for almost 20 years.
Awesome. Okay. Go ahead and explain your previous experience or what you do.
Okay. Um, I started condo law at a firm called Hyman and Kaplan, Ganguza, Specter and Mars. It's yeah, it was a condo firm that I think what's left of that firm because they closed down and a few years ago went to Siegfried Rivera. A couple of the Hyman and Mars went to Siegfried Rivera, and they had a lot of condos up and down the beach in the Aventura area. So now they merged with them. But what I did there was learn the ropes of condo, which a lot of attorneys out there do condo, but they're not condo attorneys. You know, the basic thing in a condominium, you probably know by now, especially if you've been on the board, is your declaration. That is the instrument, that's the constitution, the foundation of the government in this land. And I'll say this land is now under this declaration. So what Mr. Hyman did, which if you know law firms, Hyman, Kaplan, Agusa, Specter, Mars, the first name is the top name.
Correct.
So Mike Hyman is the one who said, Ray, why don't you start writing declarations? You know, I said, fine. I learned how to write declarations. I used to do them. In fact, when I left, one of the things I did a lot was declarations for HOAs and condos. But therein lie your rights as an owner and your obligations as an owner. Then the rights and powers of the association and the obligations of the association. In conjunction with 718, the Condo Act, right? And 617, the not-for-profit statute. And the Florida Administrative Code, which are the rules governing how these procedures are carried out. So by starting doing declarations, you're pretty much like a chef in the kitchen. You run the kitchen. After a while, you could run the restaurant because you have the basis for everything that's done. Every tables and chairs and forks are nothing. It's the food, the preparation, the recipes, all that kind of stuff. So the same analogy applies to your declaration. You have two other documents within the declaration. Your articles of incorporation. And just a little history. What that does is it creates the corporate entity that's going to operate and manage the not-for-profit corporation, your condo affairs. And that just tells you the directors, officers, and the basic stuff. The bylaws usually, most of the time, should be the way the board or the association as a corporate entity runs itself. It's not so much how the declaration already talks about the rights of owners and corporate entity, but how the corporate entity, the board, operates. Okay, the elections, the meetings, the quorums, that kind of stuff. So those are all your documents. And then you attach all the plans for all of this and explain the relationship between all, because what anybody owns here is the space within the ceiling, floor, and walls. Right? The rest is common elements.
Well, in our corporate documents, it says that we are shareholders of a non-profit organization.
So you're a co-op?
No, we
no.
own the.
In the documents, it says in the non-profit organization corporation, it says that we are unit owners, shareholders.
Oh, okay, but what that means is that the corporate entities has members,
Correct.
shareholders.
Correct.
And those members, anybody who owns a unit is a member in the corporate entity as a shareholder.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean that, because the co-op is, the corporation owns all the units,
Everything,
and then you own shares inside the corporation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that's not what this is. This is condo in the 718.
Okay.
The co-op, I think, is 719, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, from that, I start writing and doing declaration. But part of our job in the law firm and what you keep doing is everything that happens between owners and the board, the association and owners. When you have to go against an owner for a violation of something in the declaration or the rules and regulations, when you want to pass a new regulation, when you want to pass an amendment to the declaration, all the things that the board wants to do to enforce. And then sometimes, many times, I've had groups of people where we do recalls, and we go and we win the recall. They don't accept it, so we go to recall arbitration. And if we have the votes and we have our ballots properly documented and each owner signed out of 10, etc., we win the recall. Then we're in the same situation you are. But this is what a condo attorney does. Represents owners or associations in the condo world with a condo dynamics of relationship within that setting. Okay, and this is what I've been doing for years and years and years. Right now, I probably have 40-something condos and HOA that I run as their attorney.
Wow.
Yeah, because I left there and I'm very hands-on. very approachable, accessible, talking, hey, this, that. Most of the little questions are little questions. They're not, Ray, we have this unit owner who hasn't paid in 6 months. Okay, well, we can do collection. We start with a demand letter. Then we put the lien, right? Then we file the foreclosure. A lot of attorneys after the fiasco, remember when all these things went to south,
Go bust.
they just jumped in to do collection. And they do demand letters, lien, and try to collect. But they didn't know how to do the foreclosure. They didn't know the basis for it. So it takes more than just being an attorney. When your interests are condominium law, okay? So that's what I've been doing for many, many, many years, and I work with a lot of management companies, you know, because they understand that sometimes certain boards or associations need your ivory tower, big law firm to handle their affairs. But you really get nickel and dime to death, and you get huge bills. One of the biggest condos I have is 900 and something units, 964 units, almost 1,000 units. And when I took over them in 2008, it was from one of the big ones, I don't want to say who it is, but what happened is that they had 400 units in collection when everybody just dumped units and said, we're out of here, I'm not going to keep paying mortgage or anything, you know? So what I did, I told the board, what's going on with that law firm that you have? Well, we have 400 something units in collection, and if right now that board sends out 50 demand letters and puts 20 liens, they send us a bill for $50,000 for this month. I go, oh wow. And then what happens? Well, they may collect $20,000 that month from unit owners. So they keep the 20 that they collected for us, and they say, give us the 30.
Yeah.
And by the time I came in, I said, well, I'm going to do it different for you. I will do all your demand letters, and you don't pay me. We just put it on the account of the unit.
Correct.
So that you don't lose money right now. I'll front it, put it that way. And then those we need to lien, I'll say, hey, 30 days went by, they have not paid. Should I lien? This is a cost that came out of my pocket. Then I lien them, you know. But what? When money came in, 20, 30, well, on top of that, I put my $1,000, let's say. So if somebody came to pay $4,000, it was 4 to you, 1 to me. So I collected all 5. So you didn't have to give me my $1,000. I was already getting from the unit.
Correct.
And that's how we started making money. Before you know it, that association today, I think, may have like $2 million in CDs and invest, because they have to invest it in certain instruments, financial instruments. So they put it in CDs. They have like $2 million now. When I got them, they had 0 because of that. So it's just working with the necessities of the board to see what are your problems, what are your issues. Are they violation issues? Are they still like board, corporate type of relationship amongst the board members? Do you have to clarify some of the corporate law to make sure that you've done everything properly to put the new members on there, assign them their different, you know, positions? Because directors are the legislative body of this corporate entity. Right? If there's, how many, 17?
Right.
Right, so you have 1 out of 17. Each one's 1 vote of 17, right? Which means 9 is a majority. With a majority, rules. But officers are a little hat. You say, we're going to vote, only the 17 decide who's the president. Not the rest of the community. Only the 17 on the board make board decisions. And those are board decisions. In fact, somebody could be a president today, and the 17 say, we don't want him as a president anymore. I move to nominate her as a president. I second. All in favor? You got 9? She's the new president on the spot. That's how, you know, offices work. It's that easy. So right now, you always have an account of decisions that are board decisions. Mostly everything through representative government.
But we are trying to have complete transparency.
No, that's the most beautiful thing.
From the board. So right now we are creating electronic voting. So majority people will have major decisions. The board function will be controlling, make sure the proper way we follow the law. We have been done job from the A to Z.
Right.
You know. So that's how I believe how we can bring democracy.
But the declaration already gives you your powers and the people's powers. So you can't alter that, even though you could use that as a very good transparent tool. You can't do it in reality as the duly made decision.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example.
Okay.
If you want to go ahead, I'll finish listening to you.
No, I just trying to say this is not like we give them whatever they want. Of course not. We will find good solution, for example, for security company. we're looking for 5 bids between the company. So we give it to them 2 weeks to do research between the company, to see the reviews, how the service, what kind of service they provide. But majority decided which company from the 5 they wanted to see. And that's how we bring, we believe,
Okay.
what does it mean, give it to rights to the owners, not 17 people who is,
Well, those there are two different type of transparencies that I like in a condo, and I advocate. And when we sit in our board where I live, we're this way. One is every little paper, every little account, every money that comes in and goes out, it's available online.
here we go.
There you go. You want to
that's
see.
right.
You really can't see other people's account. It's sort of confidential to a certain
Yes, of
extent.
course,
But you
uh-huh.
can see how many units are behind,
Right.
how many months, which monies came in, and exactly this checkbook, the checks that it cut this month, and to whom.
Can you put the bank accounts?
What?
The bank accounts?
Yes, you can print the bank account. There's no
Statements.
confidential information on
The
those
statement,
statements.
the bank statement.
Yes,
We're
you
not,
Yeah.
let me be clear, we're not
Mhm.
here to access to the bank.
Oh,
No.
no.
We
No,
give
no,
it
no, I'm not saying.
To
you
members
can
of the
access,
corporation
just look
only.
at it.
To
Exactly.
members of the corporation, which is what? Unit owners. So let's say you do a website, say, hey, let's put it so anybody can look at the website and say, I want to see the financials for this month. Well, you have to have a login and password assigned to your unit as a unit owner, not as a tenant or a guest or a resident, as an owner who has the rights, because you're the shareholder, whoever's on title. So you do it and you control it because it's confidential. That's why your meetings can't be open to anybody in the world. They could only be open to shareholders and their legal representative or power of attorney,
Right.
because it is confidential information.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the transparency on everything you do, your first month here, right? You can start
Yes.
opening your website and putting on their access so people can log in and see what money came in this month, how many checks came in, and what you had to pay. And they may say, you're paying $2,000 to this vendor. Can I see the contract? Link here, here's a copy of the contract for that vendor.
Yeah, in other words, the bank statement,
Yes, anybody who's a
the,
contractor. or
the
vendor.
accounts receivable, and the accounts payable, that's all we put.
Without identifying the
The
unit
individual.
owner.
Right.
Like in the board meeting, I'll have here everybody who hasn't paid, who's delinquent, and I'll know the name and the unit. But we have an account number that nobody will recognize. Say, look, we're talking, and there's 30 people listening. I say, okay, account 1082 owes 4 months. Should we send it to the attorney for collection? We make a decision if we want. Okay.
Yeah, so nobody
But-
names the names and nobody
Right.
knows the numbers.
So nobody out there knows who
Exactly.
we're talking
You're not
about.
creating the war between the people there outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But then I go back to the transparency.
In
You-
other words, income from maintenance, you cannot put it, because it would show the apartment number.
How many
No.
units you have? 500 what?
564.
564. Let's say if I got 500 checks. You put them, look at the 500 checks that came in, 64 didn't come in. You don't identify it was Pepe Perez, what unit he didn't pay this month, because that's
But maybe-
shaming him.
What about, oh, I see, but the check.
But you could put
it
that,
would- The check has the unit number.
no, but that, you wouldn't want anybody to see the check
What-
with the account number of who
And
paid.
name.
Oh,
You can have
Just
the
a
other-
report, and you should have a lockbox,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right? So everybody pays to the bank directly, and the
Yes.
bank gives you a report of the time and date. Anybody
Yeah.
can pay online,
Yeah.
they can send their check in, and they can't, you're not relying on a management company who's gonna get a check in a box, and then, oh, you gotta go deposit these, and some get lost, and they forget, and then you get a late fee when they paid on time, but the guy at the management company forgot to deposit it, or he lost it on the way.
Correct.
So that's why a lockbox is very neat and clean,
Yeah.
very good for reporting.
Yeah.
You know, and but to your question and concern, no, I wouldn't put certain, and the law even says this and this and this is not open to inspection by the unit
Yeah.
owners.
Yeah, there's a list.
Yeah, so
In
you
the
keep
718.
that because you don't want to get in trouble because you're liable as a board, not individually. You're indemnified from this
Yeah.
kind of
Mistakes.
fiduciary and mistakes, but you don't want to do it. You know, especially now, your new board, perfect transparency, because anybody who's been in condo long enough knows that what do they attack? You guys are stealing the money. What do you mean I'm stealing the money? Here's all the financials. Look at the money came in. Look what I spent it on. You see exactly what we're doing. I don't care. You're just stealing money. It's demagoguery.
Yeah.
They just throw crap on the wall to see what sticks
Sticks.
and accuse people.
Exactly.
It's not going to have an opportunity when everything's transparent.
Correct.
So that the other transparency is what decisions you make. Obviously, board meetings are open. One person will come, and then they'll say, "You're stealing money." Well, why didn't you come to the meeting? Why didn't you see why we had 7 different security companies that the people recommended, investigated, and gave us their suggestions. You could do that through an ad hoc committee or a committee for just selecting something. And those people do it, and their work is open to everybody. But
Correct.
you have more organized structure for governance.
Yep.
Okay, which is my suggestion, just so you have people on the board who would say, let's get new paint colors. We do a committee for the paint colors, bring a swatch of the colors, and at the end, the board it receives a recommendation from the committee saying, this is what we found, this is our report, this is what we think. Then I'm sorry, but the obligation rests on the board members to make certain decisions. That's one of them, you know?
But again, we are making decision which is the best choice between 5 companies. And
Right.
they're gonna make a final decision which company they wanna see on their
What,
property.
what she's trying to
But-
explain is this. Say that right now there is a job for replacing doors,
Right.
the lobby doors. It is open to everyone to place a bid. If you know somebody, if he knows somebody.
Recommend people
Yeah, recommend
and have
people.
people to give you
So we
same
have-
scope of work. Be very careful with the
Correct.
scope of work.
Correct.
One scope for every vendor.
Correct.
No different scopes.
Correct. And so there is 17 proposals.
Right.
Just to say, the job of the board is to filter what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. If Pepe that is just started working wants to propose this because
He just
think-
opened his company a month
No,
ago.
then we are like going.
Or
"Yeah,
no
so-
insurance or no license.
no guarantees, nothing like that, then obviously this one won't be there. So they choose the top 3 or the
Right.
top 5. And that at that point, then it's open for the rest of the membership to make the best decision, and it will be open like in the electronic voting says.
Right.
Where they can check what the best decision was
And
by
that
the
tells you
majority.
their decision.
Correct.
But at the end, you get their decision.
With
As a
the
recommendation,
guidance.
you could ratify it and say, we're gonna use whatever you people decide.
Yeah.
But you have to have a duly called meeting,
Correct.
minutes, and the decision by the board
Minutes.
for it to be sticking and lawful.
Mike,
Correct.
you have a
That's what I
question?
meant.
Mike,
Minutes.
You have a question?
Working together is very important.
Yes.
Mike?
Ileana,
Yes.
do you have those questions for him?
Yeah,
No, I don't.
Yes, I do. Okay. So we have right now lawyer who has, I don't know how many, but a lot, bunch of the open cases which is coming from many years.
What
and
kind
then-
of open collection or violation or
Both.
arbitration?
Collections, mostly collections, city penalties, and a couple litigations. 2 or 3 litigations. Or I think there were 3. One of them has been closed.
But I know there is Miami-Dade as well too, which
Yeah.
is major.
Miami-Dade County
Yes.
will give you
They
fines
have-
and liens
yeah,
and
yes.
give you a date and
Yes.
warnings
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you
So-
have to act on that. So the other board was not doing anything.
No.
Wow.
Well, the previous board, the one that we recall, was placed by the board before them, who was basically she was the queen for the previous 7 years. She was doing everything hidden, in the dark. We didn't know anything about it. They refused access to all these documents, which is what you're seeing right now, and then did not report anything to any of the board directors. She was running it by the attorney, the management company, and herself. Those 3 people took control completely. So they manipulated information. They forced us to subside to whatever they wanted because if we stood up, then they sue us. They place any kind of
And
suit.
we are paying our lawyer and plus
sue
association
you?
lawyer,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yes.
to defense and be sued.
Well, now you're the board. You could cancel all lawsuits. You tell your attorney dismiss, and he has to go to court and dismiss them.
Yeah.
Anything that you don't want to
Okay.
continue to pursue,
This is
you
the-
are the client now.
Okay.
You're the boss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but remember, because he charge hourly,
Monthly.
every in their email,
Yeah.
charge phone calls,
Telephone.
he
You
had
call
charge
him.
emails.
How are you?
Guys, I'm sorry.
Mm.
Let me finish, please. So he charged for each movement what we're doing for him. So
Was
of
he
course,
paid already?
He paid
Not
monthly,
yet.
he paid.
Not yet. We still own his
We
money.
still own-
I'm gonna
okay.
tell him. I'm gonna
Okay.
tell him. We still own his money. The question is, if we cancel, let's say, some of the cases, is this a fee will be responsible association paid or owners?
Association.
Well,
Settlement.
I'll give you an example. If it's a litigation that's not collection, they were the board, they got an attorney like a pit bull, go sue them for something. And that person had a defense, say, that's not true, I didn't do that, I didn't say that. But the association suing him with the attorney. The association's attorney is the obligation of the association outright. Why? Because you signed an agreement with that attorney for services, he did work, you owe him money for those services. The association owes your own attorney money for those services. But he does whatever you say. If you say cancel that lawsuit, dismiss